Hello, I wanted to talk to you about some of the new treatments that are coming along the line for celiac disease. At the moment, the only treatment for celiac is a lifelong gluten-free diet, but there is quite a lot of research going on into different ways that celiac could be treated. So some of those treatments target the gluten itself, so people are looking at modifying wheat and gluten in some way so that celiac immune system doesn't react to it. Some people are looking at how the body actually breaks down the gluten and trying to add enzymes that will effectively aid the digestion of the gluten so that the body doesn't recognise it. Other things are also looking at interfering with the way the body actually responds to that, so actually targeting the immune response that the body has itself and looking at it that way. So there's lots and lots going on in research, and everything at the moment that I'm aware of is in the clinical trial stage, which means that they're currently testing to find out basically how effective these different treatments are. Now, as with any pharmaceutical product, you have to go through quite rigorous trials to prove that these treatments work. And that means that you need to firstly prove that it's safe by testing the product on people who don't have celiac disease. So can they tolerate the product without basically having an adverse reaction or side effects or getting sick. And then you go on to test with people who do have celiac to see how effective the treatment is. The best and most effective way of doing that is to test that firstly against a placebo. So you have a control group who doesn't have the product, who you can compare the results on, because as you'll know, with diet and particularly symptoms in celiac, the perceived symptoms and the effect of the kind of psychological fact of eating gluten can actually impact your not your immune response, but the symptoms you experience and report. So what they will do is they will take one group that does have the product and one group that doesn't and compare their reaction to eating gluten. Now, of course, the problem with that is that you have to give celiac gluten, and some people won't be getting the real treatment. Some people will be getting a placebo. So in effect, you are going to be making people sick deliberately in order to prove that your treatment works. Now, you probably won't be surprised that a few people in the celiac community and in the blogging community find this to be a bit of an ethical issue. It's a little bit different from lots of standard clinical trials that you might hear about for different drugs for different diseases, because usually you're taking a population that's already poorly, where there is no treatment option, and giving them something that might potentially help them. Whereas in this, you know that you're probably going to be making people actively sick by your intervention. So some people have questioned, whether this is the right way to go about it, or, and really advocated that celiacs don't get involved in this testing and don't actively take the decision to eat gluten in order to support these trials. Now that's quite problematic, because without a decent trial population, it's going to be very, very difficult for these treatments to get approved. When a new treatment or new drug comes on the market, the bodies that review this and authorise that to be provided through the different healthcare systems need that evidence that firstly the drug works before they even then go on to talk about is it affordable, is the benefit to the population such that it warrants approving it versus the current standard treatments. So if celiacs en masse won't participate on these trials, and trial recruitment's very, very difficult in the first place anyway, what hope can we have that new treatments and new diseases come to market? And what hope will we have that further innovations will come along that will help us beyond the gluten-free diet? Of course, there are considerations as to, do we really want to be treated? Why are we looking at modifying the person's immune response when we could be looking at just modifying the diet and taking simple kind of natural measures to it? But you will know that even people who adhere very strictly to the gluten-free diet sometimes make mistakes or sometimes have problems. So new treatments can help in that regard. And also it can help in populations where it's very, very tricky to re-educate about how to manage diet. And also for those who simply find it too difficult and too intolerable to have to make such a massive change to their diet. I'll talk more in another vlog about the pros and cons of the different sorts of treatments that are coming on, but I thought you might find it interesting to think about the trials that are going on, some of which are going on in the UK, and maybe even consider taking part. I'll put a link below this blog to my Pinterest board, where I'm pinning articles about interesting research that's going on at the moment, and there's 1 or 2 studies that are recruiting in the UK. So if you are able and eligible, maybe it's something you want to consider doing, because if your symptoms aren't too severe a few weeks of trying gluten and potentially not getting the treatment is a really massive contribution that you can make to the future health of people with celiac disease. Hope you found that interesting. Happy to answer any questions if I can, of course. Leave them in the comments below or contact me on Twitter @gfreebie. Bye.